You know what's interesting about you both now is you have a connective thread, one of the most transcendent players in the history of women's basketball, and Caitlin Clark. And it's her birthday today. You guys both shouted her out.
Yes, that's my
Coach
girl.
Bluder and Aaliyah. Yeah, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen from Coach, and then Aaliyah doing a matchup of pictures, which is really sweet.
Lisa Bluder recently shared what it was truly like to coach Caitlin Clark, and her response was far more poignant than anyone could have predicted. Nothing was sugar-coated by the renowned Iowa coach. She discussed the stress, the mayhem, and the behind-the-scenes moments that no one could see. This talk is remarkable because it shows a side of the Clark era that fans were never able to see. Tell me in a comment right now. Do you believe Lisa Bluder should be given more credit for helping Caitlin Clark grow into the celebrity she is today, or did Clark always have such talent?
Love this for you guys because you guys are both still really close. Obviously, Aaliyah as a current teammate, but how close are you still, Coach, to Caitlin?
Oh, I talk to her quite often. I follow all of her successes and everything. I just always want to be in her camp and support her. I have so much admiration for her, for what she has really not only just accomplished, but what she's handled in her young 24 years of...
Okay, so Lisa Bluder just gave a candid interview in which she described what it was really like to coach Caitlin Clark at Iowa. And believe me when I say that this wasn't some generic, she was great to coach, rubbish that coaches typically say. In fact, Bluder provided us with some depth and genuine understanding of that event. To be honest, people don't realize how complicated it is. Let's start by setting the scene. From 2020 to 2024, Bluder was Clark's coach at Iowa for 4 years. During that period, Clark emerged as the most talked-about player in the history of women's collegiate basketball. She broke all previous score records. Areas were sold out by her. In a manner never seen before, she made Iowa basketball famous. Bluder was there, overseeing the circus during it all.
I told her today, your 20s have been pretty good to you.
I would say so. Yeah, they've been transformative, I would say.
In the most recent conversation, Bluder talked about how she still keeps in touch with Clark. She said that she talks to her frequently and keeps up with all of her accomplishments, which is pretty standard coach talk. However, she also mentioned something really intriguing. She said that she has a lot of admiration for Clark, not just for what she has accomplished but also for what she has handled in her young 24 years of life. The crucial phrase, what she's handled, is right there. Because there was more to teaching Caitlin Clark than just basketball. It has to do with controlling a media phenomena. It involved coping with hitherto unheard of levels of scrutiny, pressure, criticism, and attention. And Bluder was there to witness it all. On Clark's birthday, Bluder even made a joke, saying, "Your 20s have been pretty good to you." It is the century's greatest understatement. Clark's 20s have been completely crazy. In just 4 years, she went from being a freshman in college to becoming the world's most famous women's basketball player. She shattered records that were supposed to be unbreakable. She made women's collegiate basketball more widely known than it had been since the UConn dynasty. However, this is something that people don't consider enough. Lisa Bluder was the one who had to actually coach her during all of it. Not only instruct her in basketball, but also oversee her personal and athletic growth while the entire sports world watched every move she made. It's not a typical coaching position. That is very different. Consider what Bluder had to cope with every day. All of the games were sold out. Because of Clark, Iowa was continuously covered by the national media. She was being deliberately stopped by opposing teams, often with many defenders following her throughout the entire game. Clark was under tremendous pressure to perform. Additionally, Bluder was under tremendous pressure to prepare her for success.
So happy for Aaliyah when Caitlin went to Indiana, because I knew you were going to reap a lot of those passes down the court and she was going to feed you the ball, and I just think you guys are such a dynamic.
Furthermore, Clark wasn't just a role player who occasionally played well. Every offensive move Iowa made was centered around her. She was the source of the entire offense. Iowa typically lost if she had a bad night. They could defeat anyone if she was on. That's a lot of responsibility for a coach to oversee, and a lot of weight for a collegiate athlete to bear. Bluder also had to deal with Clark's criticism, particularly in her junior and senior years when she was the center of attention. Whether Clark was overrated, self-centered, or more concerned with her stats than winning was a topic of continuous discussion. In addition to trying to win games and aid the squad as a whole, Bluder had to guide her through all of that noise in his capacity as her coach. Bluder's remarks are intriguing because she expressly expressed admiration for Clark's handling of things. This implies that there were times when things were difficult, times when the pressure became unbearable, and times when Clark most likely found it difficult to deal with the demands and continuous attention, and Bluder supported her through it all while attempting to manage a basketball program. Bluder and Clark's connection is intriguing since it deviates from the usual coach-player interaction. Clark was more than just a gifted athlete in need of guidance. She was a generational talent who was transforming women's collegiate basketball and setting new records. Bluder needed to figure out how to mentor someone like her without restricting her effect or inhibiting her inventiveness. To be honest, Bluder did a very amazing job. She let Clark to be himself. She didn't attempt to coerce her into a strict regimen that would have restricted her options. She gave Clark the freedom to create plays and developed the offense around her abilities. If it doesn't work, you will be held accountable for allowing your top player to go amok, thus it requires confidence on your part as a coach. Managing the rest of the team while one player receives all the focus is another factor. Other gifted players at Iowa made a substantial contribution to their achievement. Players such as Hannah Stuaki, Gabby Marshall, Kate Martin, and Monica Chinano. Even since Clark received 90% of the media attention, Bluder had to make sure those guys felt important and respected. From what we could see, she did a good job managing that delicate balance.
Interesting watching her final season in college with you here at the desk and then watching your relationship develop at the professional level.
Yeah, honestly, it has been so great. It's always so weird when you play against someone and then you are on the same team and building that relationship. But I think just over the past 2 years, it's been amazing. From the first time she got to Indy and us just building that relationship on the court, off the court, it's honestly...
The friendship between Clark and Aaliyah Boston, who are currently teammates on the Indiana Fever, was also discussed. That's intriguing because it illustrates how Clark's professional career has benefited from the connections she made in college. Bluder helped Clark develop the ability to form those kinds of relationships with teammates, including those she faced up against in college.
Elite. So when you met up with each other, of course, you've got all your college history, but then does it not take too long to recognize, hey, this is somebody that is like-minded like me, skilled like me, and can elevate my game to a level that I haven't seen?
I mean,
You had a
know that from
fantastic
playing
season last
against
season.
her. You know that from playing against her, just how competitive she is in that nature. And so to be on the same team, it honestly continues to motivate you because you guys want to be great for each other. And I feel like that's how we play. Like every time we step on the floor, you know, we give each other our pregame hugs, and you know, she says you're going to be amazing because you are amazing, and I say it back. But it's just that confidence that Kaylin just continues to make you feel.
Boston mentioned how Clark consistently gives her confidence and builds her up on the court. This is a skill that Clark picked up someplace, and it most likely originated from her surroundings, Iowa. Bluder fostered an environment where players encouraged and supported one another, something that doesn't just happen. That is deliberate leadership and coaching. During Clark's tenure at Iowa, Bluder also had to cope with the fact that the state had never won a national championship. They lost both of their trips to the national championship game in 2023 and 2024. For a coach, that must be really annoying. You have the greatest player in the nation, possibly the finest in women's college basketball history, but you are unable to get her a ring. Bluder will be plagued by that for the remainder of her life. The fact that Iowa did not win a title with Clark has led to some criticism of Bluder's coaching, despite the fact that she gave it her all and gave Iowa the best chance imaginable. Her strategies, rotations, and in-game modifications have all been questioned. She was working with the roster she had and did a fantastic job of maximizing their potential, so that's probably unjust. However, when you have a player like Clark, that is the truth. Anything less than a title is seen as a failure, and the expectations become unreasonable. The fact that Bluder retired following Clark's graduation is particularly intriguing. She decided to retire immediately following the end of the Clark era after serving as Iowa's coach for 24 years. It's unlikely that the timing was coincidental. Her career was probably at its pinnacle when she coached Clark, and she was aware that anything that followed would fall short of that. She therefore emerged victorious, or as close to the top as it is possible to be without truly winning a championship. Bluder recognizes how unique the past few years have been, as evidenced by her remarks about Clark's 20s being quite wonderful to her. Clark recently turned 24, meaning that basketball fame has shaped her whole adult life. At age 20, she rose to fame. At 21 and 22, she broke records. At the age of 23, she became a professional star after being selected first overall in the draft. She is already among the most well-known figures in women's basketball history at the age of 24. That trajectory is completely out of control. Additionally, Bluder attended the college portion of the event. Because both parties depend on one another in different ways, the connection between a coach and a generational talent is always fascinating. Bluder had to provide Clark with the guidance and encouragement she needed to grow into the player she was. And Bluder needed Clark to improve her program and solidify her reputation as one of the greatest women's college basketball coaches. Although the relationship was mutually beneficial, it wasn't always simple. It's likely that Bluder experienced moments of exhaustion due to the ongoing strain and attention. There were times when she wished she could simply teach basketball without the national media scrutinizing every choice. There were times when she questioned whether the circus surrounding Clark was worthwhile, but Clark would go out and score 40 points to make it all worthwhile. It's also important to remember that Bluder helped Clark get through some really challenging times. The loss to LSU in the 2023 National Championship was devastating. Because it was Iowa's final opportunity with Clark, the 2024 defeat to South Carolina was considerably more devastating. Bluder had to assist Clark in processing those setbacks and moving on, which is difficult when everyone in the basketball world is seeing and waiting to see how she reacts. Bluder's praise for Clark's handling of everything implies that there were times when things could have gone wrong, times when the pressure could have shattered her, times when she could have crumbled under the weight of expectations, but she didn't. And a large portion of that is very likely related to the support system that Bluder offered at Iowa. Bluder also had to cope with criticism over Clark's style of play. She was referred to as a ball hog. They said that she didn't improve her teammates. They said that her stats were more important to her than winning. In addition to possibly having some of those discussions with her in private, Bluder had to defend her in public as her coach. It's a difficult situation since you have to be honest about your players' areas for improvement while yet wanting to support her. The fact that Bluder and Clark continue to communicate on a daily basis indicates that their bond has withstood the strain of those 4 years. When the playing days are finished, many coach-player relationships come to an end. However, it's obvious that Bluder and Clark have more going on. Together, they experienced something special that no one else can truly comprehend. And that forged a connection that has endured, clears throat, outside of Iowa. In retrospect, Bluder's tenure as Clark's coach was likely the most demanding and fulfilling period of her career. She was the coach of a player who revolutionized the sport and gave women's collegiate basketball previously unheard of attention. She assisted in the development of a person who went on to become more than just a basketball player, a cultural icon. And she accomplished this under greater scrutiny and strain than the majority of college coaches ever encounter. The discussion also demonstrated how, even after leaving Iowa, Clark still has an influence on others around her. Every time they take the court together, Clark gives Aaliyah Boston a sense of confidence and amazement. That is evidence of Clark's character, which was greatly influenced by her experience with Bluder at Iowa. Bluder's remarks were more meaningful because they weren't unduly sentimental or emotive. She didn't cry or rave about how unique Clark was. She simply accepted the realities of coaching her and expressed admiration for her accomplishments and handling skills. The intricacy of that coaching relationship is amply demonstrated by that understatement. Ultimately, Lisa Bluder helped shape the most well-known female college basketball player of our generation into the person she is today. Bluder will carry on that heritage for the remainder of her life. Even if that elusive national title never materialized, it seems from her remarks that she is proud of what they did together. That's it. Lisa Bluder talked candidly about coaching Caitlin Clark, and her viewpoint shows how difficult and demanding the process was. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more in-depth analyses on women's basketball stories. Tell me in the comments what you believe to be Bluder's greatest influence on Clark's career.